It's no secret that the past 10 years have seen explosive growth for rap as a genre. However, the sad truth is that many of the rappers responsible and a part of that growth are no longer here with us. And over the past years, many fans have speculated that rappers may have predicted or even manifested their deaths through lyrics and actions. And they might be onto something, because many of these rappers have material in their songs and have even just outright spoken about their own death, leading to the question, did they really manifest their demise? My name is Rashad Bashir, and this is rappers who predicted their death. The first rapper who predicted their death is XXXTentacion. X first started blowing up for his song Look at Me back in 2017, and then went mainstream after a couple of hit songs like Jocelyn Flores and his album 17. But behind all the music and success was a dark persona and past that X would speak about in his music and when interacting with his fans. And as a part of that, a common theme he'd mention a lot was death. The first times X would foreshadow his passing was just a joke, and that's all it was. Back when X was in jail and Adam22 was his manager, they had a phone call where X joked around saying,
"When do you plan on dying?"
Probably like 25. Probably like 25, 27.
25, huh?
I don't think they'll want me to be alive while my kid's alive, because if we are, then I'll just rule the earth.
He also just said he was dead.
I feel like I'm dead.
But you're not,
I'm alive, but I'm dead.
But it wouldn't remain as jokes for long, as in the future, every time X mentioned death, it became darker and darker. Like he was praying for his life or something. X didn't want to die, but he predicted that people would worship him if he did, which is what happened.
Bro, a fucking year from now, all of these people will be worshiping me. If I don't die, let's hope I don't die.
And X also hinted at death even more directly later on in this interview, where he explained how fame was a double-edged sword.
But as far as the appreciation aspect of the fame, I live for it. That's why I'm still alive. I would have been dead long ago if I wasn't appreciated by now.
And then explained it would be his downfall.
So that's even that's not a conversation no more. Because if I say anything to a got a pistol on them, and they fear me, they're gonna put a bullet in my brain right in there, fighting. No, I'm not looking for a fight anymore, nor was I.
From there, it escalated even more. The last time X ever went live on Instagram to speak with his fans, he spoke about his death.
Say, worst thing comes to worst, I fucking die a tragic death or some shit, and I'm not able to see out my dreams.
Where he shared what he wanted to happen or accomplish if it happened, saying,
I at least want to know that the kids perceived my message and were able to make something of themselves and able to take my message and use it and turn it into something positive and to at least have a good life.
And alluded to the idea of being sacrificed or getting killed.
If I'm gonna die or ever be a sacrifice, I want to make sure that my life made at least 5 million kids happy, or they found some sort of answers or resolve in my life, regardless of the negative around my name, regardless.
Which was very odd at the time, because X was in a great position in life. Young, successful, and unknown to the public, but he had even started his own family. There were also some very weird coincidences looking back. For instance, in X's music video for his smash hit Sad, the final hit of his he released while he was still alive, and arguably his biggest hit song ever, the music video where X attends his own funeral was very eerie. He's walking down a church aisle to an open casket of his own body. He also served as the creative director for the video as well, so it was his own idea. And of course, it became trending on YouTube, taking the #1 spot. And to top it all off, the music video was released the same day of his actual funeral. So essentially, X had planned a music video where he wasn't alive and planned out all the details. I don't know about you, but that definitely sounds like a prediction or manifestation to me. But there's more where X manifested his fate. While he was alive, he was notorious for his beefs and altercations he'd get into, most notably with Drake and the Migos. X didn't care at the time, but others did, and understood it would have consequences. On Academics and Joe Budden's show, they explained how X's behavior would eventually lead to his downfall and basically manifested his death. Academics explained that X had to move better.
Good words of advice to him when y'all speak, because y'all spoke yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, I tell him he got to move better, and also.
What you mean move better?
Well, he shouldn't be in a situation where you're not at home and you're probably.
That's politically correct.
But Joe Budden and his associates put it a lot more bluntly and explained.
What he's saying is, if you're gonna talk and be a shit talker all day, be in the right places, or if you're gonna be out in public, you better be prepared for some bull to happen to you.
In other words, if X was gonna talk the talk, he had to walk the walk, and X kinda did, It's just that the walk was very dangerous and wasn't very smart. Moreover, X was attracting this dangerous type of activity into his own life. This wasn't anything new. Rappers are popular targets for gangs and just any type of violence, as they attract a lot of attention and I guess they just give a bigger thrill.
Because you're in LA, you never know who you're gonna run into. You could be at Roscoe's and walk out and see somebody, an enemy, an op, or anything. Walk out your hotel and see somebody like that, especially if you're not staying in no mansion by yourself, secluded. If you're just at the W or you're at that little bum-ass hotel.
Joe Buton even took it as far to say that X would eventually be given the beats for what he was doing, and he was right.
Because when it get real, when I see little like this, because he's gonna get beat up in LA for some that he said, right? X had nothing to do with me.
And that he needed guidance.
These are him. Ain't no OG. And that is the problem with these little There's no OG to say, knock it off, relax, or for the OG to deal with it. But this, hey, I'm using your name for clout. You're posting girlfriend. Stop.
Buton later explained that X was hard-headed, and even after he tried to advise X wouldn't change his ways.
Every time his name come up, I give him good advice, he ignores it. So now what you think I'm gonna do, continue to waste words and breath?
He finally explained that X was out of control and didn't value his life.
I'm out of here.
Okay, well,
he got some issues and he don't value his own life. He done got on a stage. He is fighting for his life in court.
Okay.
You are fans up. Man, no, because I don't want to hear nothing.
In the very end, Buton gave a warning that would foreshadow X's destiny, and it came to be one of the most popular hip-hop commentary clips in the past 10 years. He said that someone would eventually take his life.
I mean, keep away from his little They're gonna hurt him.
That's on him.
Good. Keep it on him.
Well, listen, this is what I'm saying.
Keep it on him.
Listen.
Keep it on him, nigga.
My integrity in all this
shit.
Got
no accountability nowadays. Keep it on him.
Okay, and the same way.
But after what happened, Joe Buton actually gave X a tribute after he passed, which was pretty cool. But it didn't end there. After X passed, he also released quite a bit of music posthumously. The first being his album Skins, which included a track called Train Food. But it didn't take long for fans to realize that he had pretty much predicted his death right before it happened, with some random details. The song has impressive storytelling and detail, and in it he discusses death's inescapability. He talks about being 30 minutes away from home, and when he passed he was also 30 minutes away from his house. But that wasn't all. Fans also noticed that the song was called Train Food, and he died right next to the train tracks. So X had accurately predicted the location of his passing on the song, so fans thought, damn, X really predicted his death, claiming he was a prophet.
X was a prophet. X was a creator. We all are. X prophesized many things about his life. He talked about himself getting killed. He talked about himself getting shot multiple times. He also mentioned that he would have a son. Not only did he mention that, but he also mentioned that him and his son would not physically be able to exist on this plane together because it would be too powerful. Once we found out X died, we found out X also had a son.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man? Bro, I'm out, man.
Unfortunately, on June 18th of 2018, while shopping for a motorcycle, he was followed and approached by a group of men in an SUV. They waited for him to get in his car and demanded X give them the large amount of cash he was holding. X fought back and he was killed on the spot. His last words were, "What the f is going on?" Eventually, the culprits of X's death were given justice, and the judge sternly told them how they would spend the rest of their life.
You turned a robbery into murder. When you stood there and fired that weapon, you didn't just end one life. You effectively ended 5 lives, including your own. Like I just said, you need to understand that when we say life in Florida State Prison, that means life. Now, as the song says, you can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave. You will spend the rest of your life in prison.
And this is one of the coldest lines by a judge I've ever seen.
As I can for these kids and die a good death. Because if I don't live long, they not gonna want to live long.
The next rapper who predicted his death is the late Juice WRLD. Juice WRLD blew up with the emo wave around 2018 and quickly became ultra successful in rap. His first project landed on number 4 in the charts. His second with Future hit number 2, and in 2019, on just his sophomore album, he went number 1, all before his 21st birthday. So he was insanely talented. But behind it all was a very dark story. The driving force behind Juice's music was pain, heartbreak, and worst of all, addiction, which was how he came up and eventually met his his fate. And in his music, he referred to his struggles and how he might eventually fall victim to his demons quite a bit, ultimately predicting his fate. And some fans even thought he knew about it. So let's get into it. He has multiple songs where he alludes to his death. The first popular one was Lean With Me, off of his debut album, where he says, "Drugs got me sweating, but the room's getting colder. Looking at the devil and the angel on my shoulder. Will I die tonight? I don't know. Is it over?" So he's basically saying he doesn't know whether or not he'll be alive because his substance abuse is getting really bad. And in the music video, it depicts him in a support group meeting, like an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting or some type of rehab group. He had previously admitted how bad his addiction was. He first started using when he was younger and had tried to get sober multiple times.
My relationship with drugs now, I try my best to stay away from them. Obviously, we're all human, we're not perfect. That is something that I highly recommend people do not dive into because it is a really deep hole to climb out of. That's pretty much what I can say about it. I'm learning from my mistakes.
So he knew he was playing with something very dangerous. He also has plenty of songs where the lyrics foreshadow his passing much more directly as well. In the song Legends, he says, "What's the 27 club? We ain't making it past 21." Making a reference to the 27 Club, one of the sad or creepy parts of music lore, where there's an uncanny coincidence that musicians tend to die at the age 27. What's ironic is the song was about X's passing, and X told Juice to be careful what energy he put out and manifested into his life. But unfortunately, they both made it into this video. So yeah. Later on in the song, he says, "Tell me I'ma be a legend. I don't want that title now, cause all the legends seem to die out." This became scarily prophetic as he passed days before his 21st birthday, which is also what he said earlier. Another song where he's claimed to have predicted his passing is Wishing Well. He says, "But if I keep taking these, I won't be here. Yeah, I stopped taking the drugs and now the drugs take me." Basically just saying that he knew his addiction was not going to end well and would most likely end up in the worst, like most addicts. He also has a song literally called Already Dead, where he just explained he was already dead, rapping, "Everybody wants me dead, I've been dead for years." To fans, this was Juice saying he was as good as dead because he knew his addictions and lifestyle would catch up to him. He has a lot more songs blatantly speaking about death, so these are just a few, and this video would be like an hour long if I went through every single one of them. And the people around Juice also agreed that he was being truthful and honest, and he was really uncertain about his future. Juice WRLD's label owner, Lil Bibby, spoke on Juice's references to death, explaining Juice told no lie, especially while on the mic.
"I listen to all the music, man, and that's, he said it in over 20 some songs, over 30 songs he said, and he freestyle. He don't write, he don't even take 5 seconds off to think about what he finna say. He just go straight. So I think that's how he felt.
So sadly, in December of 2019, Juice WRLD arrived at a private airport, was searched by authorities, and when exiting the plane began having convulsions. A federal agent tried to save him with Narcan, but it wasn't effective. He was rushed to a medical center where a few hours later, he passed away. And his death was ruled as an accidental overdose. Exactly what he predicted. The next rapper who predicted and then manifested his death is none other than O-Block's King Von. Von was an upcoming rapper from Chicago, Illinois, most known for his songs Took Her to the O and Crazy Story, and for being an absolute demon. So it was no secret that King Von had a very dark and dangerous past. In fact, it's what he was known for. So it's also no surprise that he talks about death like crazy. However, it's not just that. After he passed, fans found multiple instances where he described situations that ended up being very similar to his own passing. The first being a song of his called Ride, where he says, "They surround the block, Louis saw them coming. He told BJ and Top, watch out, it was too late, I'm got. They snatched my chain, my watch." This is sort of what happened to him the night he died. He was surrounded by his ops, or whatever you want to call them, Quando Rondo and his friends. Von's friends tried to help him, but it was too late. He was shot and eventually passed. Even the lyrics afterwards came true, as Quando Rondo allegedly snatched King Von's chain the night this all went down. And I'm not gonna lie, this is pretty crazy. He described his death in detail, but it doesn't end there. He's got a lot more that's even darker and much more twisted. So Von also has the song called When I Die, which, like the song name says, is about what'll happen when he's gone. But what makes the song crazy isn't that, it's the details he provides. The song's about those around him that were close to him, allegedly setting him up. In the song, he says, "Don't let them goofies touch my casket when I die, and when you leave my funeral, you better slide. But if they kill King Von, then something is not right. The ops don't play with him." That happened from inside. This was him saying that he didn't trust the people around him and that he was afraid they would end up killing him because no one on the other side would ever be able to get him. He went on to confirm this by saying, "See, I'm just saying Von don't be playing, and if they kill him, that shit was planned." He also explained that he wasn't even trying to start any problems, but ever since he got out of jail, people wouldn't leave him alone, rapping, "Ever since I got back out, I've just been minding my own business. But then people still come for me. My past keep haunting me." This is true. People kept coming after him even though he didn't want any beef after he got out of jail. And those tensions eventually led to his doom. And in addition to all of this, the song When I Die was released after Von's death and recorded right before he died. So this is exactly how he felt at the time. And Von never bit his tongue, so he really meant it as well. So this may sound crazy that Von predicted that his friends were trying to set him up, but after the song dropped, the rumor that he was set up got more popular than ever. And fans started finding out a lot more evidence to support the theory. Who was the culprit though, right? Who was the person around him trying to set him up? According to fans, it was Lil Durk. This may come as a shock to most casual fans, but a lot of his fans began bringing up evidence that Von and Lil Durk were not as cool as people thought. For example, when Von and Durk were on FaceTime, Von smacked the phone out, and fans even said why he told was allegedly about Durk because of the OTF chain in the music video for the song. So all of this made people think that Von predicted he was set up, but this is really wishy-washy. To really understand why fans think Durk would want Von gone, you gotta understand the legal case they were both fighting, and why Durk would have had a motive to want Von to disappear, and how it all coincidentally worked out for Durk after Von passed. Durk and Von both had dangerous pasts, and a part of that was an altercation they were a part of that happened late at night where someone lost their life. One night, Lil Durk, King Von, and an associate of theirs would get into a verbal argument in the parking lot of a club called Varsity with a random guy. The man was Alexander Weatherspoon, and witnesses say that the altercation would soon turn violent and 13 shots were fired. Weatherspoon would then stumble across the road, collapse outside the cigar lounge, and months later, all three of them would be arrested and booked as defendants in the case, with multiple felonies given to all of them against Von and their friend. There was even footage that Durk was taking shots, allegedly. So there was some serious evidence against Durk and Von. But since they were fighting the case together, when Von passed, the charges were dropped. The district attorney explained this, saying King Von wouldn't be indicted because he was no longer alive, of course, and they had to drop the case on Durk because the evidence wasn't anything more than reasonable doubt, suggesting Durk's legal team put all the blame on Von since he was no longer here. Very convenient. There are also a couple more instances where Von manifested his death, according to his fans of course, and some of the lyrics are kind of accurate. For example, in Get It Done, he says, "You started rapping and you got killed, now they mad at you." Now this was about a rapper named FBG Duck, but it's also what happened to Von. He started rapping and a lot of people got mad at him, and then, Von also predicted the time of his death and more details in another song called 2 AM, where he raps, "It's 2 AM, we're leaving the club, heard the ops outside, told folks spin that. You get hit from a distance, that's aim. Pop his partner." Police said the argument occurred at around 2 to 3 AM, and Von approached him just like he said in the song. However, he was the one who got hit from a distance by his ops. Eventually, King Von's paranoia ended up coming true. On November 6th, he found himself outside of a club and walked up to a rapper named Quando. He tried to give him the beats, but Quando's friend fired 4 shots at Von. The rest was history. A wounded King Von continued to wrestle with Quando, but they'd hurt him pretty bad. His body was dragged away, then brought to a hospital where he was given surgery while in critical condition after the shooting. They tried their best, but it wasn't enough. He'd eventually pass away in the hospital and be pronounced dead hours later. And just an interesting fact to show you how dangerous of a life King Von was living. After he passed, no funeral home wanted to take him in because of the potential gunfire that could have happened from gang retaliation. And the one that did said it had to be held the very next day to minimize risk because of how dangerous King Von was. So he's definitely one of the crazier rappers on this list for sure. The final rapper on this list is Lil Peep. And to be honest, for him, the details are too wild to go in depth on because he downright just said it would happen in almost 20 songs, some very bluntly and some in great detail. It's pretty crazy and so out of pocket that I can't really read the lyrics without being demonetized, so I'll just leave it as an honorable mention and explain the basic idea. Lil Peep, similar to Juice WRLD, had serious issues with substance abuse, and just like Juice, featured it as a huge part of his music, explaining it might become the end of him in his music, but he took it one step further. He would talk about the different ways it could happen, and just as an overall theme in his music, he'd mention death. And every and any Lil Peep fan knows this. So it's really hard for me not to put Lil Peep on this list as a huge fan, but of course that's just my opinion. So overall, this phenomenon isn't anything new. I just used these rappers for this video. The power of your tongue has been spoken about forever. As to whether or not they predicted their deaths or manifested them, I don't know. You could say Juice and Peep, although they didn't really mean it, did. But X and Von, they just used it as themes in their music. But that's just my opinion though. My name is Rashad Bashir. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day and see you next time.